Oh, you're here. So early. Pancakes? You're looking for pancakes. You know, pancakes are a vehicle for more than just maple syrup. You can top it with berries, ice creams, cheeses, and other times of the day too, but oh, what am I saying? You're hungry. I'll get right to it. Welcome to the basics. Oh, no music. It's too early. The next time you want to reach for that pancake mix, try this instead. All right, let's talk heat application first. You have two options. You could go with a griddle if you had it. I've got an electric griddle here. You're going to want to turn that on to 350 degrees and just let it warm up. Or if you don't have one of those, you could try a pan. I would recommend a non-stick for this type of service. You could do cast iron, you could do ceramic, or you could even go with Teflon if you want. You're going to take that, put it over medium heat, and let it warm up. Now we're going to split this recipe into our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients, and then we're going to bring them together at the end. So first of all, for the wet, I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of butter. That's 14 times 2, 28 grams of butter if you're measuring it by weight. And I'm going to put that in, for myself, I'm going to put it in a heat-safe bowl, because to melt my butter, yes, you need this butter melted, I'm going to set it right over top of my griddle and let that melt away. If you don't want to do that method, or you can't find a bowl that you're confident is heat safe, then stick it in a microwave safe bowl and put that in your microwave and melt your butter. Next, we're going to need some sort of vessel that we can put these wet ingredients in. I'm going to use something that'll pour well so I don't get a mess when I try to combine. And I'm going to add to that 1 egg. I'm going to take and beat my egg with a fork in there so the white and the yellow of the yolk are nicely combined. This egg's going to act as an emulsifier. An emulsion is when 2 substances come together and mix together when they would normally want to stay apart. In this case, oil and water. Usually these want to be separate. They don't want to play together at all. Even if we try to mix those up, you're going to see that slowly they want to separate again so that we have oil and water. However, if we include an emulsifier, something like an egg, then we can convince these 2 substances to play nice together. The egg brings the water and the oil together so that they resist spreading apart. Next, I need 1 1/4 cups of milk. And take your fork and make sure those are somewhat mixed together. My milk and my butter don't want to play together at this point. Once you separate milk from butter, they don't like to come back together. Just like our emulsification there, we're going to take and now add my melted butter. And typically this would want to solidify and just sit outside of the milk. But because I've added the egg to this, these will mix much better together. All right, we're going to set that aside for a minute and deal with the dry. For this, take another vessel and add to it a 1/2 cup each of whole wheat flour, all-purpose flour, and oatmeal. Generally, oatmeal comes in 3 different varieties: large flake, quick and instant. Really, it's just a question of how much they roll out the flake. You can use any of them for this recipe. It depends on what you're looking for. If you choose large flake, you're going to get a little more texture. If you go with instant, it's going to be more smooth and creamy. We're going to play like Goldilocks here and go for Baby Bear's bed, and we're going to take quick. We also need a tablespoon of sugar, half a tablespoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda. Finally, salt is an ever important application. We're going for half a teaspoon, please. Now what you want to do is take and put your wet into your dry. But before I do this, let's consider one other thing. If you are the type of person who should not be operating heavy machinery in the morning, perhaps this is a little dangerous for you to put together correctly. So there's an alternative. Mix your wet and your dry separately the night before. Stick them in jars. Put this one in the fridge, please. And then when you're ready, you're going to dump your dry in, and then add your wet. All that's left to do is mix. For my mixing, like I've been doing with my wet so far, I'm going to use a fork. Why not a whisk? Why not a stand mixer? Why not an electric mixer? Why not one of those funky hand beater mixers that you used to have from 50 years ago? Well, because I don't want to overmix my pancake batter. See, an overmixed pancake batter is going to be tough and flat. Those are not good pancakes, at least not in my opinion. I want light and fluffy. And so I'm going to mix this with a fork to reduce the danger of overmixing it, and I'm only going to mix it until all of my dry is incorporated. It's still going to look chunky, and that's perfect. Now take that same half measuring device that you use to measure out your flours and your oats, and we're going to use that to dole out our pancakes right onto our griddle here. Take about a half a cup of your batter and carefully apply it onto your griddle. I can fit 4 on here without danger of them overcrowding. Don't let the pancakes touch, that's going to make it messy for you to get them apart later. What I'm looking for here is for a bit of dryness around the edge of my pancake and some nice bubbles in the middle of it. When that happens, I'll know I'm ready to flip. When you're confident that they're ready to flip, and if you're not sure, you could take an inch just underneath one of your pancakes and have a peek. It should look golden brown on the underside. You're going to want to take and do this all in one quick motion. Now, you're probably not going to get it right the first few times, and that's okay. It takes practice to do this. So, with your spatula, you're going to take and go under, and a quick movement, allow friction to be your friend, lift, and all at once, flip. Allow those to sit again for another couple of minutes, and you're looking to see that on the inside of the pancake, where it rises, that it doesn't look wet anymore. Once you can see that it's dry in there, and you peek underneath and see that it's nice and golden brown again, then we can take them off onto our cooling rack. My pancakes are ready to go, so off they come onto the cooling rack. Or if you're ready to go and being a little hasty, straight onto your plate. To make gluten-free pancakes, you're going to need quinoa flour. Take 3/4 cup of dry quinoa, send it for a buzz in your blender, or your coffee maker, or your food processor. And then dump that in place of your whole wheat flour. Also, in place of your all-purpose flour, take oat flour. And then for your wet ingredients, just reduce your milk from 1 1/4 cups to 1 whole cup of milk. Make sure it's well incorporated,
and then dump it on top of your dry. Mix this up with your fork. Doesn't matter how long or how far you mix it because there's no gluten in there to make it tough. I like this recipe because there's no need for weird gums or husks or starches. Now, keep in mind that this recipe also is going to need to cook for almost twice as long as the gluten-filled pancakes. So be sure that you've got a nice brown crust on it before you go ahead and attempt to devour. We've got this thoroughly mixed, so now we're going to go and dole it out using the same half measuring device that we use to measure our flours.
There's nothing really as comforting as a great pancake. Enjoy yours any time of the day with really anything you want. So until next time, I'm going back to bed.